branded as traitors and exiled from every city along the crystalline sea, brothers Kildare and Zidane struggle to find their place in the world. Burning with the fires of vengeance, they lead lives as instruments of blood and steel, beholden to no one. By a cruel twist of fate, the two encounter a mysterious tribeswoman who will change their destiny and the fate of the entire world. The Raven and the Crow, Dark Storm Rising, by Michael K. Falciani, and narrated by Joshua Saxon. Available from Three Ravens Publishing on Amazon.
Do you love sparkly vampires? Well, too bad, because you won't find a single one of those fancy bloodsuckers in this collection. It came from the Trailer Park, a fun collection of horror and old-school creature feature with a hefty helping of B-rate tropes thrown in for good measure. From aliens to demons to werewolves and so many more, you're sure to fall in love with these tales of the macabre. So come on in, take a load off, and get yourself ready for 19 unforgettable tales straight from the Trailer Park. It Came from the Trailer Park, from Three Ravens Publishing, narrated by Talon Beeson. Available on Amazon.
Listen up, you slack-ass minions. The podcast will start in a few, so burn your fucking snuggies, turn off the animal porn, and get your ass ready. Here come the show.
All right, welcome back for another episode of TDB Pirate Radio. I am your host, William Joseph Roberts, and we will go around the crew here from the Superstars Writing Seminar. Somebody's got a little feedback. We'll fix that in a minute. So go around, give you a little 11-second elevator pitch. Mel, first.
Hi, I'm Mel Todd. I'm the author of over 30 novels, an Amazon bestseller, and my Twisted Luck series is exactly what you need for your urban fantasy fix.
Maya.
I am Maya Cleve, and I run Marked Up Editing, MRKDUP Editing, and I edit science fiction, fantasy, military, sci-fi, urban fantasy, thriller, and I think that's all I've got right now.
Steve.
I'm Steve Ruskin. Can you guys hear me all right? I'm getting a funky echo, but that's good. I'm Steve Ruskin. I write science fiction and supernatural thrillers and some fantasy, and I am Mel and Maya's and Mike's and Mark's biggest fans, and they all start with M. How about that?
Yeah, we got a lot of M's. I'm outnumbered. Holy crap. Okay, Mike, your turn.
Hi, I'm Mike Morton, aspiring author. I got a few short stories published and working on my first novel. Superstars was, this was my first attendance at Superstars, so I'm the newbie of the bunch.
And Mark.
Mike, there's no such thing as aspiring author. You have stories published. You are an author, my friend. Own it. I am the author of the Canadian Werewolf series, among other things, and I love helping and working with other writers like you awesome people.
All right, so if you haven't heard about the Superstars Writing Seminar, it is an amazing event. I was a little reluctant to sign up for it just because of the price tag, but what I came out of that thing, it was worthwhile. Now, this year, one of the founders had passed away a few weeks ahead of time, Dave Farland. I knew Dave from the Apex courses. I never got to meet the man. I was hoping to meet him this year, and that didn't happen, but what I knew of him, I mean, he had a good heart. He's the old wizard, you know, teaching all the young Padawans how to do the job and get this stuff done if they're willing to listen. I mean, Steve, Mark, Maya, you guys actually knew him a lot closer. To me, it was somber until that last little bit with drawing out the dragon, and things changed. The energy of the convention changed for the positive and the better, and you know, it recharged everyone. Well, how was it for you this year?
Was that directed to anyone in particular?
No, whoever wants to speak up first.
I mean, I'll go first. You know,
I'll start
go ahead,
if that's
Mark.
okay with you guys. No, you, Steve. Go for
No,
it.
I would prefer. I want you to start, Mark.
Go,
You're
Mark.
my favorite.
I mean, you're like the head. You're co-chair of this convention anyway. I mean, you've known him the longest, probably.
So, yeah, this was a very emotional Superstars. Not only because we missed last year, but obviously we missed Dave, right? The opportunity to hang out with him again and just, you know, bask in all of the amazing things that he offered to the community. But just, I mean, the 2 years, you know, between Superstars 2020 and 2022 was like a decade worth of time to get to see everyone in person again. It felt like such a long time. So it was very much a reunion. And as Kevin J. Anderson said, this is a celebration. And yes, there were some sad moments. Yes, there was a vigil for Dave. But this was a celebration of community. It was a celebration of so many amazing writers. Again, 40% new attendees, like yourself, William, and 60% returning attendees. And again, as you mentioned in the Drawing Out the Dragons, it really was a celebration of new beginnings and new hope. And that's what I felt. And I felt a really incredible warmth for both the people I had seen before as well as newcomers who I believe, and you mentioned this is kind of, I think it's an important element is, yeah, it's expensive, but it's one of those things that you realize you invested in yourself in a very significant way and hopefully realized, yeah, this was definitely worth everything.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that was the thing in the back of my head, even though that little demon cheapskate, you know, was like, what did you do? You know, but it was an investment in the future. Okay, Steve, go.
Oh, I was just going to add to, you know, the celebration of Dave Farland. I mean, there's so much that he gave to that crew. And I came to Superstars Writing Seminar, you know, later than most. I mean, he was right there at the beginning. And it's been, what is it, Mark? Was this the 13th year? 14th? Or
12th.
12, sorry. Well, okay. In the ballpark. But still, I mean, that's a long time. And I think I've been going for about 6 or 7 years. I mean, calendar years, because obviously 2020 we skipped. But I mean, everyone knew Dave and he helped everyone out. I was fortunate to attend one of his in-person classes that wasn't at Superstars in Utah a few years ago. And he was actually having some health problems then. We didn't realize it, but he was acting a little, he wasn't quite right. I mean, he was struggling a bit on the breathing, and we didn't realize it till a few days later, actually, when it was over, that he had been having some heart problems. So, you know, I was concerned for him then, and it was just, you know, we all love him. And he gave everything he had. But I just have one great story though about him that was really funny. So my first pro sale was to a publisher called Zombies Need Brains, which I think some of you are familiar with. It's run by Joshua Palmatier, and he's a DAW author. And anyway, I had a story in one of their early Kickstarter anthologies that paid pro rates, and I was all excited. And then, so the next year when they did a anthology, they put out the call for authors, and I posted it in Superstars, right? And I was all excited, and I was like, hey, you guys got to check this out. You know, they have 3 different themes this year, as they always do. And I can't remember the other 2, but one of them was alien artifacts, right? And so I posted that, and like not just a few minutes later, Dave Farland messages me, and he's like, I'd be interested in writing an alien artifact story. I was like, okay, well, I mean, it's not my thing, but I'll let the author know. So I texted Josh or messaged Josh Palmetier. He was like, David Farland? And I said, yeah, he said he wants to write a story. He said, you mean David Wolverton Farland? And I was like, yeah, he's messaging me right now. I mean, what do you want me to do? And then there was this pause. I didn't hear anything. He was like, sorry, I just had to go freak out for a minute. He's like, yeah, put him through to me. So, and of course, Dave was one of the headlining stories in that next year's anthology called Alien Artifacts. But it just cracked me up. But I was always, happy to, I mean, I was just kind of amazed that Dave, would kind of reach out and do that sort of thing. I mean, he wasn't asked. I'm sure they paid him well, but he just said, I want to do that. And he did. And it was a great story. And I kind of never forgot that moment, only because I remember how much Joshua was freaking out. It was pretty cool. So.
All right. Anybody else got something about Dave? Maya?
Sorry, my internet's kind of tweaking again. So I've been doing, it sounds like Steve and I may have started going to Superstars about the same time. And I became involved because I know Kevin Anderson.
Mute, Mel.
There we go. Because I know Kevin Anderson and I do some work for his Wordfire Press. And so I was just kind of going to see what it was all about, maybe make some connections with authors, because I was a fairly new freelance editor at the time. And just slowly, because stuff like this happens, I slowly become more and more involved in helping run Superstars, and just all of the people that I've met through it and all the contacts I've made has just been fantastic. And this year, I noticed it was a really interesting dynamic, because while we were in the panels and the workshops, there was a lot of energy, but when we were outside of that and in the evenings when we were doing the BarCon and hanging out with folks, it was really quiet. And it was almost like people weren't quite sure how they were supposed, or what they should do, because of Dave and because of everything that had gone on over the last couple of years. And so it's like people didn't know if they should have a good time I mean, eventually everything picked up. But yeah, Friday was definitely a turning point. And at that point, everybody was just like, it was almost normal again for Superstars. And but we just had so many new people, and it was great to see everybody connecting, interacting, meeting new folks, and new opportunities, because I know of several authors and publishers who were able to connect and just get a lot of new projects rolling. So it was definitely one of the more exciting conferences that I've been to. So yeah, it was crazy.
Well, my one Dave story that it was one of those little turning points. I mean, it was one of the little ones, but I was one of the first people to take that free course when Writers of the Future set it out last year or a year before, 2020. And I got to have not quite a one-on-one. There was like 10 of us in this meeting with Dave, and we ended up talking more about Writers of the Future than anything else. And that's when it hit me that I'm getting all these silver honorable mentions. And he said, those are publishable stories. They're just not publishable by us in this collection. It's like, okay, so I've got a right to market issue. And now that little thing, it changed my perspective in the way I was thinking about how I'm submitting to some of this stuff. I mean, I don't know if anybody else had something like that, but anybody else got something about Dave before we move on about the conference itself?
Yeah, mine is super quick. I never got the chance to really meet him, but at DragonCon one year, we were in one of those overly full DragonCon hotels. We were riding down, and the door opens, and there's a very nice gentleman there with all of his luggage, and he was about to get on, saw how many people were on, was like, I'll wait for the next one. And as the door shut, my friend goes, oh my God, that's Dave Farland. And because it's DragonCon, I screamed, I love your mailing list. And so from afar, I hear, thank you.
Oh, so you're playing that weird creeper Oh no, go figure. Maurice is going to be the weird creeper person. Okay, gotcha.
I am the voice from the elevator shaft. You're welcome. But he was just so kind, like, because everyone waved, and he like waved when that, the Dragon Con elevator, right? It opens, it's a sea of people, and he was like, whoa. But he waved back and was very kind. I think I will always hear his voice just yelling back, thank you, as we plummeted down to the ground floor. So
Okay, so the first question I've got, what did you take away this year from the conference? And let's start with Megan Mackey, who has just popped in and hasn't said anything yet. So you're on the spot now.
I am, aren't I? Sorry about that. My computer decided now is a good time to do the update, the new Mac update. So what did I take away? Wow. I got to see the layout of my career from this point moving forward, I think was the big, just like I took some seminars that were like more for beginners, and it showed me where I had come from and then just moving forward, like, cause I've just gone back to being an indie publisher of my own stuff, and like the steps I need to take and where my future is going. So it was like a really nice cathartic look back and a moving forward into this next intermediate phase away from beginning author into, solidly working author. So yeah, it was and everyone I talked to, I talked to Kevin Anderson and I talked to James Artemis Owen, and got a very good idea of the normal anxiety and panic you can sometimes have when you're moving out of what is more commonly understood as a beginner author. There's a million classes and a million people to ask questions of, but when you start going into that more intermediate stuff, it's another kind of panic as you move into the next phase.
All right, let's see. I forgot to bring a dice out.
While you're mulling it over, let me just say that with the addition of Megan and Marisa coming back, now there's 6 M names, and 2 of them are double M's, Mike Morton and Megan Mackey.
I know we're outnumbered, dude.
You missed this part, but yeah, other than me,
nice.
William.
Mine's just an M reverse for my second, so
Yes.
We got this.
All right, Mike, go.
Mafia of M's.
All right, so what did I take away from the conference? Start with 7 pages of notes, an incredible number of book recommendations, both for personal reading and professional work. I did not expect that. I think I had in mind that there was going to be like another convention, panels, you get to meet the authors, and there'd be maybe some publishers there and whatnot. And I quickly became to realize, as Mark said, the cost that you're paying for this, you're getting an education. This is a crash course. This is a fire hose to the face on things you need to know about writing, editing, publishing. And since, you could only attend one panel at a time, you only got maybe a quarter of the information that was being presented there. So, there is so much out there to learn. There are so many people willing to teach you how to do things and be more effective in your marketing, be more efficient in your writing, how not to drive your editors crazy. It was a wonderful time. I was exhausted at the end of every day, and I don't know how everybody who was putting on that convention stayed on their feet throughout the day, because there was just so much energy going on there that it felt. I can't even describe it. I've never been to anything like it before in my life, so I'm super glad that I went.
That sounds like a perfect segue. So, Maya, Mark, Steve, would you like to answer his question of how you managed to put this thing on and still stay standing after all the work you put into this?
Sheer willpower.
And faux soup.
Yes. It's one of those things where everybody's mentioning the energy that it basically feeds into you. And even if you're tired, you can step away for a little while, but eventually you come back and you're just energized again, and you can keep going. I know that by the end of every single day, when I finally made myself go back to my room and everything, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I have to leave because I can tell that I'm exhausted and I need to sleep. But you don't want to, because there's so much stuff going on. There's so many people to talk to. And like Mike said, there's so much going on. You don't want to miss anything because there's only one of you and there's only so much that you can experience in that short time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just add that, I mean, it's a lot of work, and I sort of plan for it. I mean, just mentally, and I try to get enough sleep, and, I make sure each day that I have lots of water with me, and I'm the moderator coordinator, right? And one of my moderators, Ann Larson, actually baked me cookies this year and bought me protein bars and stuff, because she said, last time you looked like you were really fading, come Friday afternoon. And I'm sure she was right. I don't even remember it. But yeah, I mean, we are pretty much running around nonstop. And it's a small conference, all things considered. I mean, I hear Mel, or I think of Mel talking about Dragon Con and things like that. And I just can't imagine how these massive cons, and you too, William, because I know you guys all go, and I'm looking forward to going too, but I just can't imagine what it's like behind the scenes for those. One of the attendees, Kelly Lynn Colby, and her husband, Kevin, go to Dragon Con too, and he's on the tech crew or whatever. And he's just like, he's like, it's nonstop. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, but I would imagine any con is, and I'm happy to do it. And we can always sleep afterwards, but if so many people were happy, and that's kind of the point. I even got some comments from folks who said, it didn't look like there was any, that you guys never looked quite as harried as we know you are, but all in all, it went amazingly smoothly, and I guess that's probably the best compliment we can get. And Maya for sure is busting her butt, as Mark is too. So
yeah, I've never been to Dragon Con, but I know from helping out with LibertyCon, especially if you're working behind the scenes and you're working on panels and stuff, you're going to be exhausted by the end of it. It's just a complete crash after the fact.
I like to say that from this year, and I know behind the scenes it might have been a little bit more of a panic or something, but it didn't seem like 2 years had passed between the last time we had the con and the con we just had, because it just was so put together and seamless and professional that it was like there had been no blip or no catch up that I perceived, and I think that's a testament to how good this organization is.
That's good.
I think it's a testament to the amazing folks who work their butts off, and there is a huge team behind Superstars in the way that we have tribe, and we have this really amazing community family spirit. We really have Maya and Steve as two perfect examples of people who have been working at this well prior to the conference, doing all kinds of work up front, getting other volunteers ready to go, and me coming in, I've been attending for 10 years, and this is the first time I didn't just have to show up, smile, do my pony show on stage, and then go to the bar and chat with people. I got to actually really understand what it is that goes into it, and I have so much admiration and respect for all of the amazing people who make Superstars happen. And again, and it's not just the folks working behind the scenes, it's the community itself. I mean, it really felt to me, it's always felt this way, but it felt even more this year, that everyone was just there and in it. And this is advice we often give to beginning writers when they're nervous about speaking on stage or whatever, is the people in the audience are there to watch you succeed. They've got your back, as James says. They want you to be successful. That's why they're there. And that's one of the ways you can kind of turn that nervousness around, is that you can feel that every single person in the room wants it to be successful. And I think that's part of the reason why it is successful. It's that community spirit.
And for my first time being out at Superstars, it absolutely has that community feel. It has that tribe feel, just like LibertyCon over here on the East Coast. They have a marked limit of 1,000 guests. And you get that one-on-one time. You can just walk up and talk to somebody at the bar. And, I had conversations with Jonathan Mayberry and James Owen, and I bought Kevin Anderson like a beer or two, and we just sat there and talked about IP. And it was amazing, because we could just sit there and talk instead of being, oh my God, up on this pedestal, which I had a little discussion with Kevin on that one, because That's a whole other story. But yeah, never put these guys on pedestals ever, because you know what? They're your peers. Talk to them. Work with them. Don't put them on the pedestal, because you might lose a good friend. Almost did, because I made that mistake, and I told Kevin that. But just the amount of information at the bar. Yeah, the panels are great, but they're short. They're 45 minutes. And I honestly learned more and connected more in the mingling and the social time. I closed down the bar every night because I was out there having conversations and just this amazing energy in the place. Everybody's just wanting to share what they know and pass on information about the business and help each other up. I mean, that in itself was worth the price tag.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is with so many cons. I mean, after the first couple of years, the first year or two of Superstars, you're kind of drinking from the fire hose, especially when you're a newbie like I was, 6-7 years ago. I still always have that imposter syndrome and feel like I am. But, after a while, you realize that the really interesting stuff happens with, the conversations you're having in the hallways and at the bar and at dinner. So it's not that you can't get obviously great information from those 45-minute sessions, because you can, but when you really get to sit down one-on-one like you did, hell, I remember my second year, me and another guy who was new that year, we were all going to lunch in this big crowd. I didn't know what we were doing. I live in Colorado Springs, so I know where I was going, but I was just following people around. All of a sudden, we're stuck in a booth, me and this guy, Steven, who actually said he might join us tonight, tonight. For us, it's tonight. For him, it's 3 a.m. because he lives in Crete, right? So if he pops on, be sure to tell a good job. But he's a tribe member. But Steven and I, all of a sudden, we're in this place called the Ritz, which is closed down, but used to be famous for this man candy that, that's kind of an inside story. I won't go in there, but they had this like candied bacon or whatever. But we're with Todd McCaffrey, Jody Lynn Nye, Jody's husband, Bill Fawcett, Dave Farland, I think, was there, and like 2 other people, and Steven and I, and we're just like, we should not be here. This is not our booth.
Oh God!
But they were totally cool. They told us, they're like, sit down, and we had lunch with them, and we couldn't believe it. It was amazing, and that's what Superstars is. It was just really, really. There's no pedestal, right?
Yeah, that first morning I had breakfast with crap, I'm brain farting. Alaska.
Craig.
Oh,
Craig.
Martell.
Yeah, Craig Martell. Brain just decided that she was going to shut off for a second. I sat down and I had breakfast with Craig Martell, and I made a joke about getting him some crayons. If I knew he was a Marine, but he went ahead and bought breakfast for everybody at the table, which is like, dude, that's like cool. But you're okay, awesome. Moving on. It sets you back for a second because, like, wow, and the amount of information just sitting there at that breakfast table. Talking to him about some of the marketing stuff that he'd been doing, how he was putting his books out there and making it wide and everything. It just you can't get that anywhere else. Let's see. I ain't picked on Mel yet. Mel, what kind of stories you got from the Superstars? That's just amazing.
See, and I'm probably the worst person here because, as always, I'm worse of a redheaded stepchild than you are. And
I think that's purple.
Yeah, well, there's pink if you look. There's some blue in there too. Okay, here, I'll give you an example. I have met Mark at least 5 times, at least, between 20 books and Dragon Con and a couple other things. I've met him a lot. And I sincerely doubt that he remembers me at all. The same thing with James and Jeanette. I've met them multiple times. I am a huge introvert, especially when it comes to slipping into conversations. So, like, I can sit down and talk to William all day long. I know him. I know Marissa. I now know Megan. And so on those one-on-one, and those really small things, I'm fine. I'm extroverted. I talk and stuff. But the problem I had with Superstars is, even though I've met Kevin probably more than I've even met Mark, I can't just walk up and say, "Hey, I really wanted to talk to you about this because I don't know how to present myself when he has all these other people who want his time." I'm always going to back off and say, "Oh, they're more important. I'll talk to them." And I know I have to get better about that because I actually am a prolific writer. I have a lot of books out. I have my own business and everything else. So as much as I enjoyed the networking at Superstars, I'm watching people like William going, "Dear God, I suck." Because I can't do those instant connections. I mean, Marissa and I have known each other for 3 or 4 years, and it's probably only been in this last year or so that we finally managed to become friends, not just like me and Maya. I've met her twice. I enjoy talking to her, but we're still at the whole, "Hi, how are you doing?" Not the, "Oh my dear God, what's wrong with my story" point that Marissa and I are at. So it's probably one of the biggest downfalls of Superstars is you will excel at it if you're a good extrovert. And if you're not, I suspect you actually miss out on quite a bit. And don't get me wrong, nobody is rude, nobody is dismissive or anything. But if you're not good at inserting yourself into those conversations, you miss a lot of them. And that's really where the magic happens at Superstars. Now, part of it is that, again, I'm the odd one. I'm not accepting manuscripts currently. I don't need to pitch. I don't really need too much help with my craft. And every writer ever needs help with marketing. So, yeah, that's just a given. We all need to be better because, well, marketing sucks. But it makes me really uneven trying to connect with all of these people that sometimes I love Jonathan Mayberry. I've met him a couple times. I would like to just sit and talk to him. I don't need anything. And I have no idea if I'm making any sense. I just know
No, you
that
are.
No, the conversations with Jonathan were okay. So next time I'm dragging you with me, kicking and screaming. Wait a minute.
I was going to say,
what are you
attach
talking about
yourself to me
how
next time.
Yes.
what are you talking about how I work the bar? What? Oh,
I
maybe
just
we're gonna
follow
talk,
people.
lady.
I follow people
Yeah.
right into conversations. I'm like, "Hey, Kevin Aikenberry, introduce me to Jonathan Mayberry." "Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much."
Mel,
And then
next
I
time
invite
just
myself
attach
to
yourself
parties.
to one of us and follow us around.
Yeah, we'll drag you
Well,
around.
Yeah,
man.
no, seriously, Mel. Like we will take you with us. We will insert you. I'm not. I'm actually an introvert myself. But when I have a mission, when I'm there to introduce two people, I'm stronger and braver. So it'll actually help me if you say, "Hey, Mark, I'd love to chat with Kevin about this." And if I have a mission, then I'll be able to do that. I'll be able to interrupt them and,
Yeah.
and
well,
push you
But
in.
it was
I-
actually
Well,
one
I'm
of the
not going to be able
suggestions
to
that I made.
introduce you to somebody, regardless if I know them or
Yeah.
not. I'll take you up and be like, "Hey, you need to talk to her because she's like cool and her name is Mel and she's amazing. So here you go." And I'll just shove you up in there. It's like, "All right, have fun, talk. I'm going over and
I'll
getting
tell the
I'm not
story.
shy about.
Yeah, how Mel bought me as well. That could be a great icebreaker.
There you
to
go.
introduce you to
That's
the
true.
conversation.
To keep your
We're
clothes
half
on.
price.
Yeah,
We thought you
specifically
were
with
half
clothes
price.
on.
And I have an in with Jonathan because he killed me off in his last book.
He did.
Yeah, we have to start a program of adopt an introvert.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
so
I
maybe-
actually
we
made
go.
that suggestion when we did the
2 thumbs up for
surveys.
that
I
one.
said it would be
Nice.
really nice if you had alumni mentor some of the newbies.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just to introduce them and go, "Oh, you're a new writer and you want traditional. Awesome. Let's go talk to Jody. Let's go talk to Kevin. Let's go talk to Lucy Ann Diver because they're
There-
traditional. Oh,
Get
you're
your
an
notepad out,
indie.
Mark.
You just want somebody to partner with. Let's go talk to these people." And I think that's probably the big thing that's missing for Superstars is somebody to point you in the right direction.
A guide at the front of your
But-
kayak.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, like I said, I don't want anybody to think I didn't have fun, and I did. I just sometimes, especially with the big name people, it's very hard for those of us with severe imposter syndrome to, jump in front and go, "Jonathan, I really want to talk to you about this because we've talked a couple times and I wanted to follow up." That's really hard to do.
Game on. I got your back because I don't give a shit no more. I'll talk to anyone.
No,
Well, and
I-
also, I was going to say, consider this, Mel. I mean, I've known, I've seen you online and stuff for years, so I was a little intimidated to talk to you. I mean, you're Mel Todd. You're kind of famous.
She's Mel
So,
Todd.
It
right?
goes both ways. And I'm not kidding either. You're a big name, or at least a larger name than me. I think you're
You know,
pretty big. So
yeah,
but you're right. I mean, that's something that often it comes up. I mean, you're not the first person to say that. In fact, and at least you were there. I mean, there were some superstars over the years who had kind of appreciated how great it was after their first con and confessed. I think I can think of two people in particular who basically confessed to spending half the time in their rooms because they were terrified. And they'll be like, "You guys were all so great. So next year I'm not going to do that." We're like, "Good."
Oh no, I worked
reason.
really hard. The only evening I spent in my room was Saturday night for two reasons. A, I was freaking exhausted by that point.
No, there's no
And I had
time
to
for
be up
sleep.
at 4:30 to get to the airport. So I was like, I give. I'm going to my room. I'm reading a book. I'm going to bed.
So I'll second what Mel's saying as well. I mean, as the new guy and all these authors whose names I've seen on the front pages of books or editors and the power, holding the power of life or death over your novel, right? I don't even know who to talk to. I don't even know, who should I even approach? And then I find out I have a career counseling appointment with Kevin J. Anderson. And I'm like, holy cow, how did I get this? What do I say? What do I talk to him about? I'm already working on a book for somebody. I don't have time to write another book. Am I supposed to make a pitch? What am I supposed to do? I mean, your mind just starts, running in circles. And then I remembered, because I live locally, I helped move a lot of the stuff down to the hotel. So I was at his house and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. He's a normal guy with a normal house. He doesn't live in a castle in the sky. He's not 10 feet tall.
He does live in a castle on the ground.
Well, he lives on a castle, way up high on the ground, right? He's got a fantastic view out of that place. But I remember thinking, just before I went in, okay, look, you at work, you've briefed generals, you brief admirals, you brief important people all the time, and they all do the same thing, right? They're normal, everyday people once you get talking to them. So just go in there and start talking to them. And Kevin was wonderful. He broke the ice. He's like, Mike, this is your time. You get to talk about anything you want to talk about. Holy cow. I was blown away at just how easy and approachable he was. And so, I definitely made a vow coming out of that. Okay, next time around, I'm approaching more people just to say hi. I don't even have to talk about books or the craft. I just want to talk to these people and find out what they knew, what they like to do, what they know. It's the atmosphere. I mean, it's a little rushed in between events and stuff like that, but the atmosphere does make it approachable because you're all there together.
And what's so funny is if you wanted me to give a presentation to everybody or 5,000 people, I could do it without even breaking a sweat. Doesn't faze me. You want me to go up and talk to the person? I have a book to read.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you've ever met Kevin Anderson, he will remember you. I guarantee it. So don't ever be shy about going up to Kevin and saying, "Hi, Kevin, I met you," because he will be like, "Oh, yeah." And he will give you like the 5 minutes before and after he met you, what happened.
You do realize you just made yourself a target for me, right, Mel? I'm dragging you around. All right. So, what was your favorite panel? Favorite workshop?
Kevin Eikenberry's emotional resonance.
Jim Butcher, clickety clack.
Oh dear God, the clickety clack. That was the one takeaway. Well, I had a
clickety
lot of
clack. That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Clickety clack. That's my answer to everybody lately.
Primed.
The out of all the takeaways that I had from this convention, it was the affirmation and validation of everything that I've been doing between my writing and publishing. I'm doing it right. I just need to fine tune these things, and then I can get a little step further and a little. And just like Jim was talking in that speech with the pump, and you're almost there with that old hand pump that click, 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 click. Just before it finally starts to pump. So we just got to keep on trucking, keep on pushing. You're almost there. Don't give up. And that was really the mission of this entire seminar this time around. Is that the standard mission, or was it this one in particular? It seemed like that was the theme this time around, was just keep going, don't give up.
Well, and I think Kevin, with his new presentation on surviving black ice, it will stick with me for the rest of my days. One of the first things he says is, "Don't give up your day job." Right? This isn't something that you have to, throw everything away to do. This is supposed to be first and foremost fun. And so if you like your day job, keep your day job. You don't have to give it up.
Marisa.
Yeah.
Say something.
So I will also say the thing that I got the most from is probably Drawing Down the Dragons with James Owen. So between that and the tarot coin reading that Megan did for me, it was a definite reminder of getting out of my own way and just keep going. So one thing that James said that will stick with me forever, and I may or may not tattoo in my body one day, is never give up what you want most for what you want most in the moment. And oh, damn. So both what I got the most out of and probably my favorite presentation. Everything I went to was valuable. And I also, like Mike, have 8,000 pages of notes that I have partially organized. But
you just like the proposal.
I mean, the proposal also was amazing. Let's not lie. I cried a non-zero amount of times at that presentation. But no, it's just the reminder of like, it's so easy to get in your own way in writing and in making writing a career. And that's absolutely, I think I've been incredibly spoiled and lucky in my career so far. And then yet I still get in my own way and think, oh, but nobody actually wants to read my book. Nobody actually wants to see this short story. They're just humoring me, question mark. But regardless, it's the thing I want to do. So I'm going to do it. So imposter syndrome can shut the F up. And it was good. This is what I want most. And so therefore this is what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah.
Anybody else got something they want to add?
Well, I'll add to what Marisa said.
Yeah,
now,
I was.
that same. Oh, go ahead. Okay, am I going?
You got it, Steve.
Oh, I was just going to say the same.
I think Mark's on a little bit of a lag from the rest of us.
Yeah, I think so. He's up in Canada, so it's too far away. But no, but what Marisa said about that quote from James Owen about, never give up, what you want. I mean, the way I always interpret it is don't give up, what you want the most for what you want right now. James has been saying that for years. And I remember first hearing that, I was like, that's pretty much it. And then he gives you this great illustration of how his whole life is an exercise in that very discipline, I guess you would say. And I'm to the point where he was like begging for a hamburger, and hope, he didn't have enough money in his pocket for a hamburger because he was really, his sight was focused on, on the distant goal that he wanted more than just making money in that moment. So yeah, that's always been impactful for me. So I'm just glad Marisa brought that up because I've always liked that one.
Well, the determination. I mean, between his speech with the drawing out of the dragons, Jim's speech with the whole pump metaphor, it's sheer determination. Yeah. Really. I mean, when you want it, you'll go for it and you push for it. And those resonated with me so much.
One I would. It wasn't an inspirational one per se, the class I took, but the one on Facebook ads. What I took away from it that I thought was very, very powerful is that, while he was talking and stuff, there was a bunch of people in the room with me who were, succeeding at this and struggling to understand how Amazon has just changed everything again. And this idea that we're in this, wild west of writing and such. And I really felt the resonance of we're all in this together. We're not in competition. We're in collaboration. And so I know it wasn't like necessarily an inspirational lecture. It was basically, how do you find out this XYZ that's mysteriously happening over at Amazon? But it was kind of like we were arming ourselves for the next round of indie publishing, rawr. So there you go. That's my thing.
So I
Uh,
like what she
I
said.
was
The
going to
next
add,
round of indie publishing. I mean, you've got Megan, you've got Marissa, you've got me, we got Mark. I mean, all of us are leaders trying to brave into our new frontier. And I really think Superstars has the possibility of being the impetus that gets us to making the next new thing. I mean, Mark's already done it a couple times with Kobo and now Draft the Digital. He's been sitting there on the cusp. So, yeah, I'm really glad I own him. This is going to be great.
That Mark, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry that happened because I was spurring her on to do it. Okay, so you've been trying to say something and the lag is getting to you. So go ahead, Mark.
no, it's okay. That was hilarious, Mel. That was a priceless line that I've heard way too often. But what I wanted to say, so I didn't get a chance to sit in on a lot of the sessions. I always cry multiple times during Drying Out the Dragons. I've read the book, I've listened to the audiobook, I've seen James do it so many times. This one obviously was so special because of the proposal, which just brought new tears. Jim's talk was absolutely phenomenal. I got to see that, and one of the things that really was really impactful for me, really powerful, was working on those pitch sessions and the one-on-one counseling, and just we realized there's so many more people who wanted to connect with and meet with Kevin and all the other people and some of the people who wanted to pitch, and it was so rewarding because I had the privilege of getting to help some people practice their pitch before they pitched, and then to find out how well it went. And that was just such an incredible, heartwarming feeling. Because again, Mel talked about being, I don't want to go and approach people, but if you have that 15 minutes with someone or that 10 minutes with someone, you've got a business reason, right? I've been on panels with Jim for years and only chatted with him very, very briefly for years. This was the first year I actually had the balls to actually ask him for his autograph. And I only did it because a good friend of mine that I met via TikTok found out I was going to be at Superstars and said, "Oh my God, you're going to be with Jim Butcher." So I wanted to surprise her and get a signed copy of one of his books that I just mailed to her today. And that's the only reason I had the guts to do it. It's because I had a mission. And that's why I like those one-on-one sessions. So it's kind of like, Mike said, I'm going to be hanging out with Kevin J. Anderson. What do I do? This is your minute. Like, let's just talk. You could have talked beer with him. You could have talked Rush. You could have talked anything. It didn't even have to be about writing because, you've already got all these projects on the go. And he probably would have welcomed that because he could just be a normal human and just hang out with you, which is kind of what people want to do, is just connect with you on a one-on-one basis. So as great as the content and so much of the content that I missed this year was, it was those connections, those one-on-one connections that meant so much more to me this year. And maybe it was because I haven't seen more than my partner in the house here and my son, for the better part of 2 years as we were in lockdown Ontario. But those connections were just gold for me.
Well, we are running down to the last bit here.
Let me just add for those who are watching, we all know, but we've been referring to a proposal. That's because James Artemis Owen proposed to his girlfriend at the end of his talk of Drawing Out the Dragons, which is a surprise to everyone. The way he did it was quite spectacular. He was pretending to draw something blindfolded, and he really wrote, "Marry me." Hannah. Wait, no, what's her name?
Helen,
right, Helen. The funny thing was, I was sitting right next to her because James and I were sitting right next to each other for the duration of the conference. So she was sitting in James' seat during this, and I stood up because we couldn't really see because we were at the very back of this gigantic room. And then Joshua Bennett was next to me, and we're like peering, and we're like, does that say what we think it says? And then I think, was it Jay Boyce that came running up to Helen and was like, because Helen took off her glasses to look at a note. And Jay was like, "You need to go up there now." And we're like, "Yes, you need to go." I'm standing right next to her. I'm like, "He's proposing to you. Go." It was spectacular. So anyway, for those of you who are watching who weren't there, that's what we're talking about. And it was pretty awesome. So
Yeah, it was beautiful. So, if he's listening or watches this or whatever, I am ordained. I have to double check for the state, so I will definitely do it next year if he wants me to. That would be epic and awesome. What can we look forward to next year, Mark?
I think we're waiting to hear back the surveys. We sent them out. The surveys are coming back, and I'm so glad to already hear some of what you suggested for the surveys. We are looking at how can we do an orientation. We already discussed that to bring in the new people and get them familiar with it. And please don't go hide up in your rooms. We want you to be part of the community. We want to welcome you in. I want to do more of those one-on-one sessions, especially for the introverts who can't do it. And then, of course, we already have, with the hotel, contracted to get more space and to bring even more content in. And I'm so thrilled. And again, I think karaoke is coming back officially this time for those who want to play in the karaoke in the evening. And I've heard enough people want the haunted parlor to be a recurring event too. So there'll be a lot more social events where you can and a lot of people just came and hang out and listened and enjoyed it. And I love that because sometimes people are just comfortable doing that, but I want to give people the opportunity to feel connected in that way.
See, and I totally want to do a panel on being just an indie successful author and give a little bit of reality check because it's so easy to go, oh, I'm going to publish a book. And a lot of the questions I heard were people going, I can't seem to get any sales. And of course, the first question is, well, how many books do you have out? Well, I have one. Okay, quit wasting your money on ads. Go write more books. And there's a lot of just basic stuff that I think sometimes Kevin and Jody, those guys miss because they were where we were 30, 40 years ago. And the world has changed so much since then that I imagine it's kind of like looking back at what you thought and felt in kindergarten. You really can't relate to it anymore.
Definitely pitch the any panel ideas to Mark and Marie. I did. That's how I ended up with my editing one this year. Is I said, "Hey, I have an idea for a panel," and they're like, "Sold."
Isn't that how it always goes? I have this idea. Awesome. Why don't you run with it?
Well, that was kind of my intent. So I didn't mind. But yeah, if you have a panel that you're willing to give, just give a brief description of what it would be and a brief synopsis of what you would be talking about. And that's all
who
they
else
need
might be
to
on the
get
panel?
rolling.
Yeah, I got to fill out my survey thing because I hadn't done that yet. Mark, Maya, Steve, everybody else that's part of the staff that aren't on here and listening right now, if you hear about it, thank you for everything you've done. This was an amazing event. I learned so much. I took a lot away, the advertising, the little nuances on Amazon and Facebook and how to tweak these things differently. Jonathan Mayberry is joining the next Trailer Park Antho. James Owen is joining my Misfits of Magic Antho. It wouldn't have happened otherwise. And this was sitting at the bar, and it took me and Jonathan 4 days to finally get together because people were pulling us apart. And he was being drugged that way. I was being drugged this way. But we finally got together. I bought him a martini. And said, all right, let's sit down. Let's talk. Hey, because after his workshop, I walked up there, plopped it came from the trailer park down in front of him. He looked up at me, smiled. Was like, we need to talk. It's like, okay.
Wait. I want to say that I had the opening story in that. Thank you very much.
In volume 1, yes. And we're trying to get an opening on that for this year. I don't know who it's going to be yet. Any last things, Mark, Superstars wise, that you want to put out there?
You have a coupon code for anyone who's watching this to get a discount off of registration if they are interested in bringing down that price and making it a little bit more approachable.
Yeah, it's $100 off registration. The code is 3Ravens SSWS2023. And I'll throw that out somewhere on the 3Ravens site so that everybody can get to it. You'll get $100 off your registration if you want to go to Superstars. Your listening face is adorable. What, Mel? We got a private chat, and some of the stuff is like, what?
And the price does go up as the year goes along, just for those who might be interested. Yeah. So every couple months or so, I think the price will increase. So if you're interested, definitely don't delay.
It's worth it. I think I got it in October last year is when I signed up. October or November or something like that. Okay, so
and I'll say, Hillbilly, for anybody on here listening, watching, in post, whatever it might be, if you were anywhere on the writing path, anywhere, I strongly recommend Superstars. They have a ton of scholarships. If price is an issue, I would take this code. I would look at the scholarships as that information comes out. But even if you hide in your room, which don't, to Mark's point, they're super nice. Nobody bites unless you want them to. Strongly recommend that you do it. One of my fellow authors recently said, it's pricey for a con, but it's cheap for a college course. Yeah. And you're going to get as much out of it, if not more, as a college course. So,
and I still have Maurice's bite mark, I think.
Again, if you ask for it, you're going to get what you know.
And that didn't cost anything.
On the flip side, those on the East Coast that can't make it to the West Coast, and if you can make it through the freaking lottery that's become the LibertyCon sign up, you can still learn a lot there because it's such a small con and you can talk to people. Now, okay, roundabout, do your 11-second spiel of what you're doing, whatever, and pitch your things. Start with Mel. Go. Oh, come on. Let's go. Come on.
I had to unmute. I was being good. Hey, I have got my Twisted Left series ongoing. My Kayla Chronicles is about to drop out of KU. So if you want KU, grab it now. Otherwise, you will find me at LibertyCon and fingers crossed, DragonCon. We're still waiting for announcements because DragonCon is really behind this year. But otherwise, you can find me on my website. And if you sign up for my newsletter, you get free short stories every other week. badashpublishing.com, people. Find me.
Mark, go.
If you are a fan of the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and you recognize the cover of this book, The Canadian Mounted, that John Candy is reading at LaGuardia Airport, it's up for pre-order. It is a trivial guide, 35th anniversary of the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, in celebration, obviously, of John Hughes and the amazing John Candy, by this Canadian.
That is a freaking amazing. Okay, I gotta look that one up.
I know, that's
Megan.
awesome.
So I have just put my back catalog, The Finder of the Lucky Devil series, back up on Amazon. The first one is out. The second one is still waiting to get through the review process. But I'm running a giveaway right now. So if you go to, I can't find the window again. My Facebook, which is Megan Mackey author, you can find the link to the giveaway. It's a King Sumo giveaway. It's sort of like, subscribe, share to get entries in, and you can win all of what I have written so far for that series. And then in March, I have a new first in series about the post zombie apocalypse, where the zombie apocalypse has happened, civilization has fallen apart, and then the zombies just sort of get better. And they have to deal with all of that. So that'll be coming out here in March. And then later this year, I'll have a superhero series come out. And at the end of the year, there'll be an epic fantasy coming out. So I have been very busy during 2020 and 2021. So that's my spiel.
Cool. All right, Steve.
Well, I've got a few books coming out this year, but I'm most excited about my space opera series, which I don't know if you can see this very well, but I finally hired a really good cover artist to get me some sweet art. I've been using stock art. I'm really excited about this. This isn't out yet, so this is kind of an exclusive. I sent it out to my newsletter today, but yeah, this guy's amazing. So I'm really excited. I've got the prequel available for free at steveruskin.com. That's the first book, which is out, and the second book is out, but I'm not going to post this art till I have them, all of it ready to go. And then I'm working on the third book now, which will hopefully be out in the next, May or so. But anyway.
All right, and Mike?
All right. So, as I said, working on my first book, shooting to have it out later this fall. It's a novel set in a shared universe by Canon Publishing called Fallen Empire. Think of the fall of the Roman Empire in the future. And it's mostly about private military companies in the vein of Hammer Slammers, Falkenberg's Legion, and others like that. So it'll be my first major effort after all those short stories. Looking forward to getting that out.
Marisa?
That's me. So you can right now pick up an anthology I'm in called You Pay, We Slay, which is in the hit world urban fantasy universe, of which I will have a whole spin-off later this year called Valkyries. And that will involve a lot of really, really talented folks,
And
including
see, look,
Mel
this
Todd.
is Marisa being absolutely freaking awesome like she is.
Oh, thanks. I like that I got a sound effect for that too in the background. So we've got awesome folks lined up to write in it. I'll also have a few novels coming out this year. And if you sign up for my mailing list at www.marisawolf.net, you'll get a free short story that will lead right into one of those novels. So it involves a man shark, genetically engineered people, and a grenade launcher. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I feel like, and it's free. So go do that.
What? Okay, I gotta look that up.
Yes, please do. And then I will be at Fantasy in North Carolina, hopefully also Dragon Con with Mel. But like I was gesturing wildly, perhaps suggestively, I don't know. They're just so big. So they've got a lot to get through before we know. So hopefully.
We got Russian bots in the feed. Okay. All right, Maya, your turn.
Okay, here is my information. If you need editing, I do line, copy, and some dev, well, copy proof and dev. And I also will do editorial beta reads. A quick promo for, we were talking about the scholarships for superstars. We do an annual anthology every year, edited by Lisa Mangum. And this year's is Eat, Drink, and Be Wary. Okay, and it is now available on all the ebook platforms and also hard copy through Amazon. So please go ahead and purchase that. All profits go toward the Don Hodge Scholarship Fund. And the more sales we can get, the more scholarships we can provide. And we basically provide as many scholarships every year as we can. And I believe this year we had 6 scholarships. Unfortunately, one of the folks had to cancel, but the other 5 folks showed up and had, from what I can tell, a great time. And it's always great to get new people in. So even, yes, overseas attendees, we do have several people. Unfortunately, Steve Wendell did not make it on. But we also have a gentleman from Italy. We had a guy from a couple of folks from Brazil. And I think we've had somebody from Australia come before. So yes, we welcome anybody from anywhere in the world. So we would love to see you.
Not to mention Joanna Penn's coming next year from the UK.
I'm so excited about that. She's amazing.
And okay, which one of the scholarships pays the entire trip, including per diem for food?
I believe that's going to be the Dave Farland scholarship.
Okay, so pre-order.
That's the new
look
one.
Look on the Superstars website if you're interested in trying to shoot for that. I don't know what's entailed in the scholarships, but go over there and look. You might be able to get it, dude.
Yeah, and that's only a single one, so that's going to be a heavy competition for that one. But I don't think there's a limit on whether or not you can only apply for one scholarship. Is there, Mark? No. Okay. Yeah. So go ahead and try for the Don Hodge one, which, like I said, we have multiple winners every year. And then also for the other 2 that are available. I know that it's the Dave Farland, and then I don't remember what the new one's called, but there's a third one in there. So check out the website. That's it. So it's superstarswriting. Yeah. So it's superstarswriting.com. And that will give you an idea of the different workshops and panels that we've had over past years, as well as I think you can still buy MP3s from previous years, even if you didn't attend, which is a good way to get an idea of what is presented. And then you can see the guests that we've had in previous years, the guest instructors, the panelists, and the presenters. So that's a great website to go check out. And hopefully we will see some of the people watching this in future years.
Okay, for everyone that attended this year, when will the MP3s be available for this year?
Whenever Stone gets around to it.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
It's
I mean,
going to be faster this year than previous years because of the way that they cleaned the audio on the fly this time.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't mean that in a bad. It's just Stone. We have an amazing AV team, but it was, you know, it's basically volunteer as far as I understand. So it was kind of, they would get to it when they could. I mean, they're usually pretty quick, but that was an issue in the past with sound. So if they were processing the sound as they went, that's awesome. So we'll maybe see them soon.
Well, they have a crack team this year, so I anticipate that will be much faster. Previous years, it was Stone doing it all by himself. Okay. And as amazing as he is, he's just one person, and he's in high demand for other conferences and conventions.
Yeah, so. He must have been busy. He was supposed to be on tonight, so he must have gotten busy. Okay, now time for me to do the pay the bills bit. All right, so latest things out from Three Ravens Publishing. The Raven and the Crow, The Gray Throne by Michael K. Falciani just dropped today. Get it on ebook. Print will be coming just as soon as Ingram finishes their processing. We all know how painful that can be sometimes. Check out the recent release of Paranormal City by Stephen Oliver. It is a nice little romp through an urban fantasy / Douglas Adams type of universe. Witch Hunt by Casey Moores is the latest in the JTF 13 universe. Military units dealing with supernatural threats on the battlefield. Check out all the other titles. We got another one in process already, coming out probably in April or May. And then don't forget to check out the open call section on the Three Ravens website. We have a number of open calls. We have a fantasy and the JTF. We have a military call for any military members that want to share stories from the field that will help a brother or sister. We've got a hard sci-fi, a mill sci-fi, the next trailer park, which is due July, June. I'd have to look to be sure. Check out the open call site. Also check out our affiliates listed at the bottom of the page. Cobblestone's author editing, which we need to talk Maya, and I'll put you up there. Faye Productions, sci-fi.radio, and Phantom Horse Brewing. Don't forget, you can get $100 off your registrations for Superstars by using Three Ravens SSWS 2023, and I will put that up on the Three Ravens page on the sidebar so everybody can get to it. Like, follow, and subscribe. Keep up with the latest from myself on my William Joseph Roberts website or from Three Ravens Publishing. Don't forget to check out all the awesome guests that come on. Little reminder for all our veterans, cops, first responders, and everyone out there that deals with this kind of stuff. You are not alone. Reach out to a brother or sister. We all have somebody that we got a phone or got their numbers, and you just phone call away. Don't go it alone. You ain't gotta. That's what tribe. That's what family. That's what brothers and sisters are for. So, with that, we'll roll into the exit as soon as I click on the thing because I'm like screwing this up and behind. And oh wait, here, cool stuff. If it goes.
It's a rough and tumble universe, where one wrong move could spell doom for an expedition, or grant you enough wealth to buy a planet of your own. Join the last vestiges of humanity and their alien allies in these Tales from the Starflight universe. From brave explorers to interstellar police, mobsters, pirates, smugglers, and so many more. There's a story for everyone in this collection, so board your ship and set course for stars unknown. Starflight. Tales from the Starport Lounge by Three Ravens Publishing. Narrated by Talia Carver. Available on Amazon.
There is a thin wall between our world and that of the Fae. The passions and emotions stirred by violence and combat bleed over, and the supernatural often awakes from long slumber to meddle in mortal affairs. There have always been those among us willing to meet the supernatural threat. They are the men and women of Joint Task Force 13. They hold the line between heaven and hell. JTF 13 from Three Ravens Publishing. Available on Amazon.